Welcome back to the Shreveport Connection. My name is Tommy. For those that don't know, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. I just want to get the line in there. Okay, this video is on TNA Impact Wrestling for the next 3 weeks to 4 weeks, starting with this week. And there's some brief little bit of news. We have a new Knockout champion in Velvet Sky, as you will hear how she won it. And I will soon have the promotion that I'm performing in, called Texas Elite Wrestling. I will soon have the results for the event sometime this week, from December all the way up to this past week. Okay, well, all right. On January 26, 2012, Velvet Sky defeated Tara, Gail Kim, and Brooke Tessmacher in a fatal four-way elimination match to win the Knockouts title at Saturday's TNA Impact Wrestling taping in London, England. Thanks to .NET reader Chris Flynn. There was no other results for the rest of that show. And now for your... Okay, no, it was taped on the 26th. Should be 13. Just a few days ago. Okay, well, the taping for the 31st, thanks to Benjamin Ridgway for these. He did 2 weeks of it, and there was another guy that did the other 2 weeks. Well, they said he was in attendance in the third row from the front, which was a nice cage. Was already set up on the ring. They did the usual. If you're allowed, you can go backstage. Never seen anyone go backstage though. This was his fourth TNA live event, and he states the first match, Kurt Angle defeated Mr. Anderson in the steel cage. Angle won with ankle lock. Very good back and forth action with some nice spots. After the match, Aces and Eights members climbed the cage. Angle waved Wes Briscoe in, and he locked the cage. The masked Aces and Eights member revealed himself to be Garrett Bischoff, and Briscoe helped him beat up Angle. As I have commented before, they've been doing some run-ins themselves with them. After all, Garrett has been training with Brother Devon. Oh, my brother testified. Well, match number 2, Magnus defeated Devon. What? I guess it wasn't for the title. The TV title that he had. Match number 3, Joseph Park defeated Robbie E. with a splash from the top rope. What? Match number 4, A Double, Austin Aries defeated Chavo Guerrero. Aries and Rude get a tag title shot with the stipulations for next week's show. Velvet Sky and James Storm defeated Tara and Jesse. Straightforward mixed tag match with Velvet pinning Tara. Match number 6, X Division champion Rob Van Dam beat Kenny King and Zema Ion. Some nice spots. I felt sorry for them as they were not a lot of mats outside as usual for their ringside dives. There was actually only one mat on each side. At one point, RVD actually missed the mat and landed on concrete. Well, if you've been to some indie shows, there is no concrete. I mean, there is no mats there. It sounded awful, but he seemed okay. Overall, this was the best TNA show he's been to. The reporter has been to. The crowd was noisy, and he cannot wait to see what it's like on TV. I even got a piece of the table to go home with. Okay, the next week's show, February the 7th, Austin Aries and Bobby Roode defeated Chavo and Hernandez to win the tag titles. So, A Double and Bobby Roode are the new tag champions. A good match with some funny spots between Aries and Roode. Doesn't say how they won. Cowboy James Storm defeated Jesse in match number 2, and then Miss Tessmacher defeated Tara in a non-title match. Didn't watch the wrestling. I was enjoying the lovely view of Christy Hemme, according to the reporter. Match number 4, Samoa Joe defeated Christopher Daniels. Joe absolutely destroyed him. Match number 5, Sting and Bully Ray defeated Devon and Doc. Bully Ray put Devon through the table. Afterwards, the Hogans came out to celebrate with him. I missed a couple of things with going to the bar, and I was told that Hogan reinstated Bully Ray earlier on and set up the match. There was a bit of Rockstar Spud and Robbie E. Robbie T turned on Robbie E. Alright. The next 2 weeks, reported by Ross McTurtle. McTurtle? I guess he's kin to McFly. I don't know. Okay, well, for the February 14th episode, this was the first wrestling show he's been to in years and the first ever TV taping. When they arrived, the cage was already set up. They've always thought, ever since TNA switched back to 4 sides of the ring, it looks tiny anyway. Jeremy Borash came out and did his usual routine. Who wants the backstage pass? And then he told the crowd that the night before at Manchester tapings that Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe were revealed as members of Aces and Eights, and that there were new tag team champions. He introduced Christy Hemme. Oh my God, I don't want to make anyone's underwear tight, but the outfits she wore tonight was revealing to say the least. And the show continues. The show's got on the road. And they taped an explosion match. Kenny King defeated Zema Ion in an escape the cage match to become the #1 contender to the X-Division title. The match was okay, didn't last long, and the crowd didn't really get into it until the very end. And now for your taping, Hogan came out and said that he was going to decide on #1 contender for the TNA Heavyweight title. And he announced 4 matches: Christopher Daniels versus Magnus, Bobby Roode versus Austin Aries, Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe, and RVD versus James Storm. Magnus defeated Christopher Daniels. The crowd was hot for Magnus. I like Magnus, but he was going up against Christopher Daniels, who is just on the amazing run now. Good back and forth action with Magnus getting the win with an elbow off the top rope, and Daniels showing why he is the best thing in TNA. Just now, like he has been for a while. Match number 2, Bobby Roode and Austin Aries fought to a double countout. Great match with Roode and Aries, stalling with some comedy, and then eventually getting pissed at each other and having their match. The end came when Chavo and Hernandez just appeared on the ramp and distracted both Roode and Aries while the referee counted to 10. So both of them should have been eliminated from the title go, #1 contendership. Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe fought to a no contest as well. Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff interfered. What else can you expect from these two? Good action with plenty of throws and chops. Briscoe and Bischoff came from a side entrance and interfered in the match, but Joe and Angle dealt with them. And here's Gail Kim, Tara, and Jesse beat the Blossom Twins and Party Marty. I love Gail Kim, according to the reporter who sent the news in. Standard mixed tag match. Party Marty went for a suicide dive outside, but from where I was sitting, it looked like it was he went way over Jesse's head and laid it on the floor. The match finished about 2 seconds later when Gail Kim gave one of the Blossoms her eat defeat and finishing move, and a minute or so later, Party Marty made it to his feet and went to the back. During that time, Gail Kim grabbed a mic and said she wanted a title match and that Brooke Hogan should make it happen. Brooke Hogan came out and set up a 4-way elimination match for the TNA Knockouts Championship. And that's probably where Velvet wins. Okay, match number 5, James Storm defeated RVD. The crowd was hot for both men. Neither are favorites of mine, but the crowd was way into them both. RVD's really starting to look his age. The end came with Storm hitting the last call super kick for the win. And Hogan comes out again to name the #1 contender to the TNA Heavyweight Championship. But Aces and Eights showed up. Then Sting came out with a bat in hand, and then out came Bully with a bat too, which scared Aces and Eights away. Whoa. All right. Now for the February 21st episode, reported by the same person, Ross McTurtle. Match number 1, Rockstar Spud defeated Robbie E. There were loud Spud chants during the match, and even as well, Robbie E. tried to take the list from Robbie T. to use it as a weapon, but maybe Robbie T. wouldn't let go. Spud surprised Robbie E. by rolling him up for the win. After the match, the Robbies were in the ring. E started poking T in the chest and gave him a hell of a slap. T got angry and took his top off, while E acted scared and tangled himself in the ropes. Match number 2, James Storm, Joseph Park, Chavo Guerrero, and Hernandez defeated Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, and Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian. Something incredible happened during the match. Massive Joseph chants for Abyss. There must be some days where Chavo just wants to go home. What sounded like a majority of boos just took over the arena when he was in the ring. Roode and Aries walked out of their partners, leaving Kaz and Daniels to be destroyed by their opponents. Match number 3, RVD beat Kenny King to retain the X Division title. It was alright. King got more of an ovation this time than when he first came out. RVD was huge big. He says there isn't anyone like him. I'm bored of seeing him do the same stuff week in and week out, and essentially just phoning it in like he has since he started TNA. Anyway, RVD hit the frog splash for the win. Double H came out, Hulk Hogan, and named Bully Ray the number 1 contender for the TNA Championship at Lockdown. Heck, I thought they were going to have a match. James Storm and Bully Ray. Silly move as it just makes the previous week's Impact pointless. Why have matches to help you decide a number 1 contender and then choose someone else the following week? Who wasn't even in a part of the matches. Match number 4, Samoa Joe defeated Garrett Bischoff by disqualification when Wes Briscoe interfered. When Bischoff was on the offense, it didn't last long. Joe dominated the match and had the crowd firmly in his corner. There was a massive "You Can't Wrestle" chant directed at Bischoff during the match. Joe was set to give Bischoff the muscle buster when Wes Briscoe interfered, causing the DQ. Kurt Angle came out to save Joe and send the 2 rookies running. Angle then announced that he will face Wes Briscoe at Lockdown. Velvet Sky defeated Gail Kim, Miss Tessmacher, and Tara in a fatal 4-way elimination match to win the TNA Knockouts Championship. Have I mentioned that the reporter loves Gail Kim? She eliminated Tara first and he left out of the seat because he forgot it was an elimination match. If you hear a loud yes at that point on TV, then yes, that was me. That was a reporter. Brooke was next to go out, and it came down to Velvet and Gail. Velvet won the match, and the reporter died a little inside. She is a horrible wrestler. Match number 6, the main event. Mr. Anderson, DOC, and Devon defeated Bully Ray, Sting, and Hulk Hogan. So Mr. Anderson is with the Aces and Eights as well. I forgot that myself. Okay, it was Bully Ray, Sting, and Hulk Hogan in a 6-man match. What? Hulk Hogan actually wrestled? Oh my gosh. Oh, my back goes out. Geriatric help. Hogan's music played twice, but he didn't make it out. So the match went ahead as a handicap match. Good heat for the Aces, but I heard a lot of people ask when Mr. Anderson officially joined the Aces and Eights. If you watched it a couple of weeks ago, they were talking to him. Maybe they explained at the taping the night before. Devon really got the crowd to just boo him. I saw so many people give him the finger. He played his role brilliantly. The end came with the other members of Aces and Eights dragging out Brooke and Hogan, who they left lying at the top of the ramp, causing the distraction while Sting got pinned. 1, 2, 3. After the match, all the Aces and Eights came out. What, there's like 10 of them now? And laid into Sting, but the locker room emptied with everybody coming out, supposedly. Probably just the faces. And the Aces and Eights were soon out of the ring and using their special entrances exits Jeremy Borash thanked us for coming, and Dixie Carter came out and thanked the crowd. And challenged TV in UK and UK in general. And then the reporters said that the biggest pops were Magnus, Dixie Carter, Spud, Sting, Joseph Parker, and Hulk Hogan. The novelty wore off after he came out for the third time. And the most heat was Aces and Eights, Robert Roode, A Double, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels. During the course of the night, all four men were being cheered by a very vocal minority. Chavo and Hernandez, vocal minority, strike again. A lot of hate for Chavo, but a lot from the crowd, myself included. The reporter, he managed to get a few cheers and Eddie chant when he did the Eddie walk and pointed to the sky. All in all, a brilliant night. Can't wait to watch it on TV and hopefully hear my one-man Earl is sexy chant. If you hear it and are offended, then the reporter can obviously say, I can't apologize for how I feel. Also, JB should just stop lying and just say, hey, I'm going to give a bunch of kids that cheer and boo the right people backstage passes. I heard a few people around me say that they were pissed because they couldn't go backstage, but this was my first barn dance, and I knew the score. Another fan commented on the tapings. You can probably get them on the Twitter at epic_problem. His name is Jamie. Attended the TNA Impact television taping in London on Saturday. Sent the following report as well. Wembley Arena must have been at least 90% full. From his spot on the floor, you can see that a few of the highest level seats were vacant, but really not many. The promise of a steel cage felt slightly unfulfilled when it transpired to be a brief spotlight match between Kenny King and Zema Ion that was taped for Explosion. King was over and didn't do anything to discourage the cheers. Later in the second TV taping, he faced RVD for the X Division title and healed it up and was greeted with most boos. Yet there was still some audible pro-King chants. The London crowd often doesn't follow the script and had a lot of love for A Double through the night. I'd say he first came out, he got one of the biggest pops of the night. Some faces were resoundingly booed, notably Chavo and Hernandez. I've been to all the London shows, and there was a time a while back when Super Mix was over with the fans. Times have changed. Brooke Hogan came out to a lot of heat and looked a little sheepish when on the mic. The boos for Garrett Bischoff weren't heat. People just can't stand him. And there was a very loud and genuine "You Can't Wrestle" chant whilst he was in the ring. I'm not sure that guy will ever be over. The London crowd is always loud, and they made all right noises. The problem with filming 2 episodes is the crowd became a little jaded by the end of the night, and whilst guys like Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle still got great reactions each and second taping, they had already been out and got some of the loudest chants of the latter part of the night. Needless to say, all the UK stars were over. Rockstar Spud, more so than the others, and he seemed genuinely humbled by it all. Party Marty took a nasty-looking bump with a suicide dive, gone bad. That I couldn't really see, but he left on his own steam, which was a relief. And a spoiler warning, TNA booking leaves me scratching my head sometimes. The premise of Show 1 was a series of matches to allow Hulk Hogan to pick the number 1 contender to face Hardy at Lockdown. Not a tournament, just whoever impressed Hogan. We then got heel versus heel and face versus face matches. The crowd didn't really know who to invest in. I won't go into some of the overbooked finishes. Double count out, anyone? But the setup didn't work for me. Then, to top it all off, Hogan gives the number 1 spot to Billy Ray, who didn't compete. He just saved Hogan from Aces and Eights beatdown. The aforementioned beatdown that never was made no sense either. Hogan was alone in the ring. 7 members of Aces and Eights surrounded the ring and took all day about it. Billy Ray came out swinging his keychain, and they back down. 7 guys versus a keychain and a pensioner that they backed down. Eventually, Sting hits hit the ring with a baseball bat and cricket bats, and Ace of Eights finally scattered. Even in the make-believe world of pro wrestling, that was a bit hard to swallow. I was praying for Bully Ray turn last night, but that never came. I think it will, but pulling the trigger last night, once Ray had secured the title shot, would have worked for me, but there would have been a cacophony of boos from the noisy crowd that would have sounded great on TV. TNA has its flaws, lots of them, but these shows are always fun, and given the scarcity of high-end wrestling shows over here, they will always get a hot crowd. A couple of screams to show the in-ring action would go a long way, though. And that ends my month of TNA tapings. Thanks and peace out.